Hello, welcome to Giggles and Gratitude. I'm the Giggles, Dina.
Well, I'll be the gratitude and I'm Diana.
That kind of works out good.
It does.
Yeah. No, we both giggle and we both are grateful. I was just throwing that in there. All right, we are so glad you guys are here. Happy Sunday. Happy Sunday, Diana.
Yes, you too.
Thank you. And we like to start out with something that made us giggle and something we're grateful for. Do you want to go first?
I always go first. You go first.
Okay. Actually, today I went on a doggy play date with a friend of mine. She has a little dog named Hazel. I took my dog Boogie, and she has a great backyard with a big fence. And it's so nice just to let them go and let them run while we talk. And they're both little dogs, but they run so fast down that hill that they tumble and turn flips, and they're having so much fun. And because I don't have children, if I had children, it would be well surpass that because I don't. It just brings me so much joy just to sit back and with a friend and watch my dog have just tear off running fast because he really can't do that here at home. I don't have a fence, so he's always on a leash. But to loosen that leash and let him go it was so fun.
It's refreshing to see them out just being puppies or dogs and just
Yeah.
being free. I love
Yes.
that.
I've never seen him run so fast. So that's a gratitude too, but I laughed and laughed at them because they're just so funny. And then my gratitude is probably TMI, and you know about this, Diana, but I was raised kind of not like Christian scientists, but my mother did not go to the doctor unless it was absolutely necessary, and we did not take medications, unless it was absolutely dire. Not even
Mhm.
aspirin. It's just the way she believed. No, she didn't forbid me to, but she didn't like taking aspirins or anything like that. And so I've just always been in that kind of mindset. And good or bad, that's not up for debate. That's just the way it was. But I got that dreaded, and again, probably TMI, that dreaded feeling when you go potty and you realize you're getting a UTI, that awful feeling.
That
And
is rough.
oh gosh, and I'm like, please just let this be the one little weird feeling. And then when you go 10 minutes later and 10 minutes later, 10 minutes later, and the pain gets worse.
I'm
And
so sorry.
it was terrible. And then I go into panic mode because I think, I take it very seriously because my sister became septic. Is that what it's called? Or had sepsis,
Septic.
became septic so quickly when she had one that I think she was kind of trying to just treat it herself. I'm not sure. I don't want to speak out of turn for her. She may have been on some meds and it just weren't the right ones. But
Right.
it was touch and go for her in the hospital. So I panic when that happens. And I'm in my pajamas. I haven't had a shower. I think I don't want to go to a wellness clinic or the emergency. I don't want to do any of that. And but I thought you can't ignore it. So I ended up getting meds, and I don't know, 2 days later I feel no pain, so much better. And I was just thinking about how amazing, and you being in the medical field, you already, of course, already know this, incredible antibiotics are and
Oh,
medications are.
absolutely.
I am just, and I know I feel like antibiotics get abused sometimes, especially when people self-medicate or share their drugs with each other or whatever. But it's just, it made me think if it hadn't been for medicine prescription, when would I have died in my life? I think back to my childhood. I had terrible strep throat and tonsillitis constantly. I probably wouldn't have made it past like 6 or 7 years old. What about yourself? Do you?
Well, I mean, I totally, obviously, in the medical field, I agree with medication. I feel like we have come a long way as far as technology and the different types of antibiotics to treat different types of things. You're right, people can abuse that, and that builds up an immunity in their system, which when they do get really sick, then their body does not, the virus does not respond to that particular antibiotic or antibiotics. And so I am grateful that you recognize that you paid attention to it, that you made it a priority to, take care of yourself and get your medicine. And so that's a success story. That's my gratitude actually for this week because I knew you were not feeling well and I was praying for you.
I appreciate that. Yeah. It's a blessing that medications are out there.
Absolutely.
You have a tendency to watch those prescription drug commercials that are on constantly, and then they go into the side effects. And I think, forget that one.
Well, I mean, the side effects, they pretty much have to list everything that could ever happen, even at the lowest percentage, they still have to put it on there for liability purposes.
Okay.
So it does sound like, okay, yeah, you can take this and then your side effects are, and I mean, it takes them 3 to 4 minutes to be able to tell you all the side effects.
I know.
And so at that point, you just have to be realistic and recognize, are you sick? Do you need this particular medication? And if so, then take it. But if you are not sick, do not take antibiotics just randomly. Or if you just, like you said, get a sniffle or a sore throat, your body does have the ability to fight some things off without antibiotics. A
Right.
UTI is usually not one of those. So, again, it's just wisdom, and there's always Google and the internet to help you get information and education on, whatever it is that you're facing, so that you can go through it and not be, susceptible when something big comes along.
Right. Right. So I am very grateful for medicine. I know I'm behind the ball, 8 ball on you because you believe in it very much. So. All right, this week, Diana, my inspiration for our topic was from a podcast that I listen to every day, and I've talked about it a million times on here. But for anybody who's new here, it's called the Bible Recap. If you start with episode 1, it will get you through the Bible in a calendar year, start to finish, and you'll actually understand what you read. And the podcast will say, okay, read Genesis 1 through 3, and then come back and listen to the podcast. So I do that. The podcast is like 10 minutes long at most. And Tara Lee Cobble is the host, and she'll say, well, this is what all this meant in our opinion. And this is the God shot at the end, is what she calls it. This is what she got from it. So maybe you'll get that from it. I've done it 5 years in a row. I get something different every time I
Sure.
read it. This couple of days ago, the topic was Habakkuk, the book of Habakkuk, which is not like in my top 10 that I would have ever named if somebody said list the books of the Bible. I don't have them memorized. Do you have them memorized?
I used to. I'm not sure
Really?
that I could still do it, but yes, I used to.
Yeah. And if somebody had even said to me after 5 times going through the Bible, what'd you think about Habakkuk? I'd be like, Habakkuk. Now, who was he again? I can't remember anything. Anyway, I had a friend that I've known for years ask me, I don't know, it's probably about a year or so ago, Dina, I didn't realize that your Christianity was such a part of you until recently, in the last like 5, 6 years. And I said, well, because it really wasn't. I would say I was a Christian, but nobody wouldn't have known, unless they went to church with me or something. And I just recently, in the past few years, have tried to really dedicate myself to living a Christian life, in my opinion of what that is. And they said, I don't understand. You seem like a happy person. You've got a lot of friends. You always seem in a good mood. Da, 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 da. Now all of a sudden, you need to believe in something that you can't see. How do you have so much hope in something that you can't show me a picture of you and God together? You don't have any
Right.
memories you can show, that kind of thing. And I said, well, I mean, that's a good question. Um, they said, what if you believe this all this time and it's not real? And my first thought was, what am I missing out on? If this is what I believe in, what,
What else is out there?
yeah, what should I be having put all my hope in? And Habakkuk was observing Babylon and all the crazy stuff that was happening there. And he had tried to live, quote, a good life, and bad things were happening to him. And he was, to God, he was like, why am I living this, having these struggles? But Babylon, they're just having the greatest old time down there and not being punished for it. And God mentioned the 5 categories of woe to him. And it's 5 things, if you want to kind of narrow them down into topics that people put their hope in if God is not their ultimate hope. If they don't put God first, what is it they're putting first? The first
Usually themselves.
yes, definitely. The first topic, the first thing, earthly thing you could put your hope in would be wealth. If having money is your ultimate goal, your ultimate hope, that can lead to cheating, stealing,
Ugh,
hurting someone else, taking money from someone else. It doesn't have to, but if it's your ultimate hope, then you have a tendency to do anything to keep it
sure.
and put everything else under that,
Correct.
which is going to lead to a downfall.
Correct.
There was a time when, I mean, I worried about money most of my life, and then there was like, say, a 3 year period where I had plenty of money and security, and I mean, I couldn't go on a around the world trip every week, but if I saw something at a store, I could buy it without worrying about paying my bills. Uh,
Right.
could go on vacation. I could not worry about where my next dollar was going to come from, eat out every night, whatever. And it was fun at first. It was really fun. And then about the second or third year, I thought, I don't, I'm not getting joy out of this anymore.
Right. It's a hollow type of feeling.
Yeah. And it was because I didn't really have anything else. Um, that's what I was spending my time doing, thinking, ooh, what can I get today? You know?
Materialistic, yes. And
Yeah.
that is so enticing, though. It is a very big downfall for a lot of people.
You get that little high, when you go buy something new.
Yeah.
And then you realize I have so much stuff that I'm not even looking at or touching or wearing, and it's starting to pile up. I got to get rid of it. So it was an icky thing for me. I don't have to worry about wealth anymore, but at all.
Well,
So,
but it's not like you're empty-handed. You are wealthy in another way by your belief in the Lord and knowing that He will sustain you and meet all of your needs.
right, exactly. And I
Yes.
realized that not worrying about bills and having money to get basically whatever I wanted was not making me happy.
Right.
Yeah. Then people will put their hope in security, which is kind of the money thing. It's like,
A job.
yeah, you want to make sure you keep that job or you have the best job or you have enough, and then the money itself too, security, you're going to end up oppressing others to
Mhm.
maintain it. And this is
Right.
according to this thing. So I guess if you think about it, that would be possible. If you wanted the promotion and you were afraid somebody else would get it, you might make up a story about them. Um,
Be
uh,
terrible.
yeah, or just be mean to the other person that's running against you for this. Let's say it's a political campaign, that would really probably come under power. But if just being secure is your ultimate thing, then you're not thinking about you're probably missing out on a lot of things if you're just worried about being secure in what you're doing. You're not
Right.
trying new things maybe or taking chances to change your life or whatever because you have security.
Right.
Power is what I was about to say about politicians. Those who look to power will cause woes to other by either enslaving them, because if you're in power, there's people that you're in power over.
That's
You might,
right.
might work them to death. And in the past, they were actually killed. If they weren't doing what they were supposed to do anymore, those in ultimate power would just kill those who annoyed them or weren't helping them keep their power.
I'm glad
So
we're
have
not
you ever
living in
felt,
those times.
I know. Have you ever worked for somebody who it just seemed that they always wanted to make sure you knew they were the one that was in power and that you were
Not
below.
really. I've
That's good.
always had really great bosses at the
That's good.
hospital, so I can't say that I've had that.
Oh, that's good. That's good. I have. Like if you had an idea, I used to think like I had an idea for something and the person would say, well, that's not how I want to do it. And I'd say, well, it actually would work better because this, and that. And they didn't like that at all. They maintained the power. It's going to make you not a very nice giving person, I would think.
True.
And you are going to lose that power eventually. Pleasure. This, I think, is probably the biggest one that people worry about losing if they give their life to God. It's like, what about all this fun? What about this? What about this? It says people who live for pleasure will engage in drunkenness and debauchery and will end up feeling shame, doing something shameful, or embarrassing the people who care about them, or even if drunkenness is your thing, that's your pleasure to go out every weekend, You could kill someone in a car. You could make a very bad decision that changes your life. But don't you think pleasure is probably the biggest thing that people worship?
Absolutely, 100%. Because you can find pleasure in the world in so many different ways, and so many different things. And yeah, it is fun.
Yeah.
But if you look down the line and you look at people that have lived their life in that manner, see what the results of all of that activity that they had pleasure from at that moment in time, but it pales in the comparison to what you pay in the end for having that as your priority.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely true. And I'll have to say, I that's probably been my I don't know, is that my biggest thing to let go? I don't really feel like I've had to let go. It's just different things bring you pleasure when you truly let God into your heart. I think those, did I really used to do that every weekend, go out and did I really treat my body that way?
It's a sobering thought when you become a Christian and you begin your walk with the Lord and you learn things and you grow in Him, and then you get pleasure from just feeling things in your spirit, and they're not of earthly things, they are of more spiritual things, and all earthly things are at some point, like our bodies, are going to end. So, what do we have in the end? Do we have the pleasure, or do we have all of the things in our heart, knowing the good that we have done for people that maybe we didn't get pleasure because we helped someone else? We
Right.
couldn't go out to eat that night because somebody else needed school supplies. I can think of 100 things.
Hmm.
There's always someone who is in need, and usually pleasure gets you disoriented as to what you should be focusing on.
Right, right. And I think you're always, that bar keeps getting moved. You know, this isn't bringing me pleasure anymore, so I got to up it a little.
That's right.
So then you end up lost again. I know as a young person, it seems like just the greatest thing in the world. So it's it's tough. I know it's tough. But Christians don't go around moping and being miserable. You know, I think that's kind of an impression people get. Like, we're happy.
That's right. Yes, we are. We seem happy. You're laughing.
And then the final one is control, which I think kind of goes under that security and money thing, except if you're constantly trying to control what happens to you and everyone around you, number one, it's not possible. And you're going to maybe you're going to try to grasp at it anyway. I know people who call themselves control freaks and they're usually pretty miserable
But
because
it is exhausting.
hmm
It is exhausting. And when you do try to control everything, you are not focusing on what you should be controlling because you're so busy trying to control everybody else.
all you can control is your actions and your reactions.
That's right.
You can't control anybody else's. So it's like a pretty, and nothing's ever going to go exactly perfect like you think it will when you're trying to bring things off in a certain way. So you need to let go of that control. But you feel like if I can control this, I'll be happy. If I can do this and this and this in my life and nothing else happens and nobody lets me down and I don't take a left turn when I think I'm taking a right turn, then I'll be happy. But it's not gonna happen. It's not gonna happen.
That's not. And you got to go around that mountain a couple of times. And some people stay on the mountain for a long time and keep going around and around and around, and they never get a different outcome until they go around the mountain for the last time and they've really learned the lesson. And it has been embedded in them to where I don't want to go around that mountain anymore. So I'm going to make a change.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So when uh so let me see, let me just say what those are again. Wealth, security, power, pleasure, and control. God responds to him, Mr. H.
Mr. H. That's
God
perfect.
ensures, yeah, God ensures him that he sees what the people of Babylon are doing, and they will be dealt with. But he invites him to trust in me and pray to me and don't worry about others' actions. You do you. I'll take care of all this. So he does pray to God to show himself mighty. He kind of wants those people to see, like, see, I told you. I told you this would happen if you didn't do
Right.
this, this, and this. He wants that satisfaction instead of wanting the best for them. So he wants him to prove his power to the people that are lost in their false worldly hopes. And after the prayer, he's convicted to wait on God's timing. That's what we seem not to do. We want it to be on our timing. And his prayer is, I will quietly wait for the day of trouble to come upon people who have invaded us. He commits to trust God and not object to God's process. So Tara Lee says that the God shot of this story, verses 17 through 19, they say, though the fig tree should not blossom, nor fruit be on the vines, the produce of the olive fail, and the fields yield no food, the flock be cut off from the fold, and there be no herd in the stalls, yet I will rejoice in the Lord. I will take joy in the God of my salvation. God the Lord is my strength. He makes my feet like the deer's. He makes me tread on high places. And this is what faith looks like. Faith says, nothing is going the way I want it to. Everything is falling apart, but I will put my hope not in wealth or security or power or pleasure or control because I know they will definitely fail me or even lead my heart away from God. I know I can be strengthened or fulfilled regardless of my circumstances because fruitful vines and filled stalls are not where the joy is. God is where the joy is.
Amen.
Do you have any final thoughts on all that before we go into Diana's devotions?
Well, I think exactly what you say is tying so perfectly into my devotion once
Well,
again, Layla. So I will just take that as we'll let you say goodbye to all our listeners, and
okay.
I'll take us into the devotion.
All right. Thank you guys for listening once again. I don't want to come across as I'm not a preacher. I am not an expert. It's just I have these feelings. I have been through this, and I like to share that experience and share the word of others who do know what they're talking about, and maybe analyze for yourself what are you putting your hope in, and why would you
Absolutely.
not want to put it in a all-powerful, all-knowing, loving, compassionate God? And thank you guys for listening. Thank you, Diane. I love you.
I love you too, honey. So today our devotion is going to be called What is the Truth? We live in a world where truth is difficult to not only find, but to define. So I'm going to read a passage today, and it's called Jesus Calling, and it is by Sarah Young. I am going to read on page 189. It says, I am the truth, the one who came to set you free. As the Holy Spirit controls your mind and actions more fully, you become free in me. You are increasingly released to become the one I created you to be. This is a work that I do in you as you yield to my spirit. I can do my best handiwork when you sit in the stillness of my presence, focusing your entire being on me. Let my thoughts burst freely upon your consciousness, stimulating abundant life. I am the way and the truth and the life. As you follow me, I lead you along paths of newness, ways that you have never imagined. Don't worry about what is on the road up ahead. I want you to find your security in knowing me, the one who died to set you free. And I was so moved by that passage. And I just want to encourage just exactly what Dina has said today. If you are lucky enough to have someone in your life that speaks truth to you, hold on to them. And if you don't have that someone, I pray that God will open a door and allow that special person into your life. We all have opinions, we all have beliefs, and we all have truths that are deeply embedded in our thought process. I pray that you are following the Lord and Savior Jesus Christ and that today you will find the truth in what will absolutely set not only you free, but your body free, your mind free, your heart free, and you will be free indeed. Love you all. Thank you so much for listening. We appreciate your time, and we hope that we've helped you see some of the truth and through the Lord Jesus. Bye bye.